Hello, this is Scott Loomis, the Regional Manager for Tech for Learning, the makers of Wixie. And this overview video is specifically about using Wixie to support grades 2 and 3 SOL math instruction. We're taking a look at units such as number sense, number relationships, fractions, and data analysis. Although the other units for grades 2 and 3 will also be touched on as well, there's not as much detail as these specific units. First off, I wanted to provide you my contact information. There may be student samples that I share that you would love to share with your students. There may be questions you have about using Wixie, about assigning templates, you name it. But there is my contact information. I do encourage, as always, for folks to follow me on Twitter because I share a great deal of Wixie resources. I retweet what teachers what teachers have often posted about what they're doing with their students. So it's not a bad resource to have me connect to me so that you can see those little ideas and those resources as they become available. Excellent. All right. So let's start off. I'm going to actually go ahead and open up a new Wixie page. I'm going to spend a few moments doing a brief Wixie review. And we're going to start within the student or within Wixie itself. And this is what students see when they log in. A student who has used Wixie before will actually enter into this page, which is basically everything they've ever done. And for those of you new to Wixie, you have to realize that it's completely cloud-based, so you're accessing it via the internet with students using unique individual usernames and passwords. Now, Wixie can be accessed on laptops and desktops through the browsers, whether it's Chrome or IE or Firefox or whatnot. They can also get it on laptops, they can also get it on iPads, on Chromebooks, on Kindle Fires. I mean, I could get Wixie on my cell phone, but if you're going to paint and draw, do you really want to work on a screen that small? And again, my cell phone's got connection, which is why I'd be able to get to it. So, and by the way, with iPads, you're going to want to download the free Wixie app. Just as an FYI, there's a little bit of problem with Wixie and Safari only on the iPads. It works fine on the MacBooks and things like that. But if you're using an iPad, you want to grab that free Wixie app. It looks identical to the Wixie program, but you're not using it within a browser. All right. Oh, and what's beautiful about the Wixie, I guess, before I go into specifics, is that you as your teacher can see all of your students' work, and you can assign templates to individuals, to small groups, or to large groups. So when you talk about customized, personal instruction, when you're maybe a Title I math teacher who works specifically with students with great needs, I mean, you can create templates just for individual students or just a couple of students and assign to them. Okay? Second thing is that Wixie saves automatically every 20 or 30 seconds. So it's not like, oh, where did that work go, or do I need to submit it to my teacher? It just saves automatically, and it just drops, so to speak, Dropbox for the teachers. And again, when students start doing work, they're going to have a large collection of everything they've ever done, and they can delete and duplicate and rename stuff as they need to. On the left-hand side, currently, as a teacher, I have nothing assigned to my students. I need to do that. But for a student, they would see assignments that they've been given. So the first thing they see is any assignment you've given them. And they would open it up and begin work. And the moment they open up their assignment, they get their own copy in My Projects, and they actually no longer need the original template. So you date range how long this original template's there, so it's only there for a few days. The kids can work on it, and if you have an absent student, you can go back and assign the template to just that one student. Right? But some students will want to keep opening up the blank one instead of going to their work from yesterday, which should be lined up here first thing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually opening up a new project, and give you a brief kind of overview of some of the more unique and powerful tools, especially as it applies to math instruction. Wixie's backbone, and by no means what differentiates it from other programs, is the paint tool. I mean, basically, you have an array of paint tools here on the bottom. I actually love the paintbrush, and you can choose slides and colors, but if you're doing different types of paint or pencil, you can change that from large to even larger, or small to large, excuse me. You can do a crayon, actually draws like a crayon. You can make it dark by going back and forth. Dry erase. If you're oohing and awing at this point, there's a whole lot better stuff to come, so don't be too impressed yet. But what I love about this, particularly when it comes to math instruction, you could actually bring down that pencil pretty small and have the kids do it for writing numbers or fractions like I'm going to do here, or whatever you want. 33 times 1/3, or you're going to do denominators, or whatever I did. I've done some fractions. That was meant to be a sloppy 7 and a 3 here. But the kids can use it as a pencil. So when they're doing, even like a CRA, where they're doing the abstract, they can easily use the paint tool as a pencil. And then what's wonderful about this and that opportunity is the ability for students to add one recording per page for a maximum length of 5 minutes. And that was under the options. and it's this recording tool. Again, each page can have its own 5-minute recording. So in many cases, as we look to do more rigorous, kind of understanding of students' math skills, we want them to explain their mathematical thinking. And what's wonderful is that kind of little extra add-on after they do the work, after they do the CRA, maybe they're doing a project-based learning template. They can easily add on an explanation about, about their mathematical thinking, or how did you solve this problem, or, was it, why did you, or could have this task or concept been difficult for you, or what did you find easy about it, or was it hard? And the kids don't need to have a script. They just talk. I mean, 5 minutes, that's like an eternity. So the kids can go ahead and chat it up. They can explain their thinking. They can ramble on, and they're not necessarily hindered by typing, which can be a difficult process for a lot of students to explain how they feel, because they get slowed down by the slowness of their typing skills. And again, each page, as you add additional pages, gets its own 5-minute recording. Right? Now, the page has one recording for the student, but so does it have a recording for the teacher. Now, there are additional step-by-step directions and videos in other places for this, but basically, there's the student recording here under Options. But under the Edit icon, which is a real important icon in this program, you can go down and add Instructions. And let's say, for instance, we were doing something with maybe using, greater than, less than symbols, greater than, less than, and equal to, solve the problem, solve the listed problems. Listed questions, you guys get where I'm going. Now I'm typing bad too. What's wonderful is the teacher can do a record sound. They can read the directions, or they can give much more detail. So I could talk about this, and don't forget to use this strategy, or whatever I want to do. I can go ahead and add that. I'm going to press OK. I could apply this to all pages, but I want it just for this page here, and this information appears in the bottom right-hand corner. I think there's a lot of neat, even math literature books. You look at the Tricky Triangle, where there's always gaining sides, or even the math course. Kids could end up, the teacher may end up giving even read-alouds if you want to take pictures of the books and do a read-aloud center for your very needy students with those math books, but the teacher can talk up to 5 minutes as well. And just in case you didn't catch it, basically when your microphone's attached, and you may have to enable it or allow it based on your district's firewall properties. But when I press red, when it goes green, that means talk. There it is. I have 4 minutes and 57 seconds remaining, and I talk because green means go. I press the green. I can preview my recording to see if I like it or not. If I don't, I can trash it and do another, because I only get one recording here per page, just like this one does down here under the Instructions menu. So Instructions, again, much more detail. Other places, that was a quick look. The other tool I want to show you is the text tool. Basically, the capital T tool. You start typing whatever you want. Solve the following problem. So that's my fingers are working here. And of course, the last thing is our library. You talk about virtual manipulatives, about no cleanup, no Ziploc bags, nothing on the floor. And different types of learner. I know if I'm working with students who are struggling for a concept, yes, those touchy-feely manipulatives are great, but for some, you might want to do a second exposure. I mean, you can only have them hold those manipulatives so many times if they don't understand the concept. So we're coming down in the sticker library. So I clicked on, just again, library, the sticker folder, which are our clip art, and I'm coming all the way down to math. There are over 600 stickers in this folder. And again, because these have folder icons, you say, all right, well, I go in, I must be able to see the base 10. Yes, I do. Measurement. Look at all the measurements for different types of graphs as well. Weight, pints, and capacity. But let's look at some that are applicable to second and third grade. We got the 3D shapes for third grade, grid or flat, or kind of the grids instead. We got clocks both with hands and without, and they can actually draw time on those clocks. They can use the paint tools to draw lines. Very easy. Dominoes, fraction pieces. We got the little rods with the numbers on them, but we also have pieces of oranges. And you can go even bigger to just basically the square being a whole, or square being a quarter, but this one being a whole. And all of these are kind of proportionally sized so that when you use this set, they all fit together appropriately. This is really a quarter of this sticker here. As I carry on, Cuisinart rods, I kind of jumped over those. The touch counts for second grade is a good thing. I mean, if you're doing some basic biframe or the dominoes for touch counting early on and comparing maybe dots to dots. Money is there. Your symbols for adding, subtracting, dividing, as well as some more shapes and even place values with the thousands for rounding off and things like that may work nice as well. All right, so that is kind of the broad stroke of Wixie. as far as how it can be used, let's start talking solely integration. The first thing I want to do is talk about the available resources within Wixie in the form of pre-made templates. There are about 200, actually there might be closer to 250, but there's between 2 and 250 pre-made math templates available. And those are under the teacher dashboard. Now when you as a teacher logs in, you see this screen. And again, this is unique to the teacher, not the students. You have the ability to see all of your students' work, to actually create rubrics, and any step-by-step direction you might need, including the instructions template, would be under the training tab right here within Wixie Collaboration. I mean, it kind of goes on and on. Some great stuff. So I'm going to go to the Activities tab, and you have your project. You have a school folder, assuming there's something in it. So if the school folder is empty, there might not be anything in it. But if you guys each, if you're a second grade teacher and you guys each are teaching the same thing at a time because you don't group for grade or for subject areas yet. So everybody's teaching math probably in the afternoon for like 1 to 2 or something. If one of you create a template, you could actually drop it in the school folder for the others to then access and assign to their students. So it's pretty straightforward in how that works. In addition, you'll have a district folder. Now, as the elementary math office does more and more with Wixie, which I know they're going to, they are likely going to have templates created. Maybe their group creates them. Maybe you share with them and they say, oh, this is brilliant. Of course, we got to use this. We're going to share this out. They can start sharing templates at the district level for everyone to use as well. So ways where you don't necessarily have to recreate the wheel, and ideally in these two folders, use as is. But you also have our curriculum library. And I select curriculum library. I come down to math, and I can see a number of grade folders. Ones that apply, these aren't by grade level, these are by your kind of SOL topics, basically, your standards. I'm going to first start off with number operations, and it says, oh, nothing's there. Don't freak out. That means there's subfolders. I'm going to come down, the first thing I want to look at, for instance, is computation. Now, there are some basic computations in second grade, and you may feel the need to bring them up to speed too, depending on how easy or not easy, but how more difficult the computation is compared to how easy. Maybe it'd be in a year and you just want to bring them up, but there are some nice templates here. Family fact homes, we've got the base 10 blocks. Even got a PBL activity here, which I might open up in a little bit. But you can see a lot going on here as far as templates ready to go. Some of these templates, you may say, all right, well, the numbers aren't hard enough or the concepts aren't hard enough. You can open up and customize. Same is true for fractions. I know folks are beginning to start fractions or have already in third grade. So we can see, all right, here's some color filling in, some fraction addition. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So I click on it, and this is a large view of it. Obviously, just a simple description, in this case, the directions. So we need to create some type of equation that equals a half. Whether we use just another one of the half pieces, we get somebody creative. We use what is that going to be? A sixth and then an eighth. So we got the same thing here. And they can simply click and drag these images off the bottom, as well as additional plus signs if they want to. And these have also been cloned, so they're never-ending supplies. Now, let's say I love this as is. I want to use it as an exit ticket. I want to use it as an assessment during the heart of my lesson, or as an engagement, because, we've kind of been reviewing this for a couple weeks. Let's do this as a drill. A lot of the teacher tools and opportunities align under the Actions tab. And under the Actions tab, you see Assign this project. So I see, yep, I like this as is. I'm going to assign this project. It says, yeah, to what class? Now, if you teach all subject areas, you're only going to see your students, But if you regroup for any reason, or you're in a support role and you work with a whole lot of classes, you should see multiple classes. So you would select the one that's appropriate to you. I'm going to go with the third grade class here. And I can say, all right, this is for everybody. Or, I'm going to check that, this is for just these 3 kids or 4 kids. You'll notice the template starts off for a month. That's just the default. Starts off for 4 weeks, actually. Maybe I don't want, actually 30 days. I take that back. Maybe I don't want it for 30 days. I mean, we're going to do this tomorrow. Do I really want kids to look at that activity for the next month and clutter up that section of their page? So I may say, listen, let's just make it for the next week. Or let's just make it till, that's February. Let's just make it till, next Tuesday. So now the blank template will be available only until Tuesday for the students. But again, anything they do, they get to save their own copies. The moment you press save is the moment the file goes into the teachers or the students, folder. So it's not like it needs overnight to process. So if you're having one of those mornings, goodness knows we're coming back from winter break, new routine, or kind of getting back in their routine, just tell the kids to hold out for just a second, and you can assign it, and it'll be in their projects. All right, so it is pretty cool. Now let's take the flip side of that, particularly with the actions and the ability to customize projects. So I may want to do a second page, do more of these. I may want to modify this a little bit to remove maybe the sixth. I think the sixth are going to be too tricky for my kids. Whatever you want to do. When you select Customize Project, it says, okay, you can't modify the Tech for Learning template, but you can have a copy to do with as you please. So in this case, if I press OK, I simply would have a copy in the projects in my projects, and I can open up Wixie, the Wixie icon, and work on it. If I press Edit, not only do I get a copy, but it's going to open it up straight into Wixie. I'm going to wait here patiently for me to begin working on it. And here it comes. I'm pausing for dramatic effect. And again, I can make changes. I can add a second page. Maybe I want to do a change of directions, or maybe I want to record my voice, depending on students, or if they just find that entertaining. Anything I want to do. And again, it'll save automatically. We'll see as you start to do more and more. Brought that up there. That you get this gray cloud with the green arrow, and automatically it'll basically disappear. It'll say saving and then turn gray. So it's saving all by itself. You may want to make versions of this. So you can rename your projects. Copy A, copy B, whatever you want. Cardinals, bluebirds, you name it. So if I return back to the home section, I do want to take a look at a couple other folders. So I'm still in Activities. I'm going to click back here. Tech for Learning, Math. Come down to, we're looking at number of operations, which showed up. I'm going to actually go back in. Actually, let's take a quick look at data analysis. So graphing and sorting. Some great graphs, line plots, number lines. It's even a geoboard. No busted rubber bands or anything like, or busted pegs on the geoboards. All sorts of neat things here. Even temperature and mean, meaning, and mode, which I know is a little bit more intermediate. And also we saw the sorting. And these are great second grade if you still do centers. I know some places do, some don't, but I mean, this is great opportunity to have a center as a math station on the devices. And again, I love the apple sorting, good old Johnny Appleseed type mentality where they sort by colors or sort by shapes, or you name it. So some neat, ready to go here. And again, under number of operations, we looked at base 10s, but we didn't really look at the fraction. Oh, yes, we did. And let me go ahead and look at the number ones. I do better when I click the folder. And a lot of use of the greater than, less than, and equal signs. In this case, we're talking touch counts with the dominoes. Counting by 10, basically skip counting. We see that as a skill as well. 2s, 5s, and 10s to 100. So at least they can kind of do a little order thing. And again, record themselves reading the numbers. Or record themselves simply skip counting by 5s all the way up to 100. I mean, talk about evidence. Kids don't often, writing it's, I guess, one thing, but if they can, record themselves saying it, you do have a parent conference or an IEP meeting if you're working with a special needs student, you'd have these artifacts not only showing their work, but recording themselves, doing that concept, sharing that concept, hopefully mastery or struggling with it. A lot of big number stuff here as well. All right. So with some of the activities, and I'm going to return to Wixie in this case, and I'm going to create or edit a Wixie project. So this is how a teacher would get into Wixie. This is, again, the home or the teacher dashboard. You can only manipulate and manage things here. But when you want to make something, when you want to go into the actual Wixie program, under the Wixie icon, new or create or edit, it doesn't matter. Brings us back into Wixie. And again, it's going to show me a splash screen of all my projects. And of course, anything I've assigned over here on the left, I've already said I'm missing something. And again, you'll notice the work I did earlier is already saved in my program here. Okay? So let me show you a couple samples I have here. I talked about the CRA approach. And again, we're looking at a different type of that conceptual, manipulative, basically that concrete thing, whether it is the actual fraction pieces of the base 10 blocks or whatnot. In this case, we've used the images, from our sticker library. The students can then come in and use the paint tool, go black, and they can do both representational and the concrete. Something simple like this. And again, that could be a concept in the middle of a lesson. You want to double check mastery here before we move on to a different skill, or this is mastery. Or it is a simple exit ticket. As we're going, I need you to finish this up. This is the assignment or whatnot. And again, it can be a single page like this. I try to give the kids lots of room. And this is something I just put together quickly, as well as multiple pages with multiple CRAs that I need to complete. And again, the line, I'm a little straight. I like to do straight lines. And honestly, I don't think I could do it with the pencil tool. But the line tools are here. You can choose different colors as well. Hold your shift key down. You can do perfect if you drag it or hold the shift key down, it gets those right angles, and you can do rays and line segments and things like that as well. But unfortunately, this will actually save, so I am going to undo it. So it's pristine. Let's talk a little bit about PBL activities. Now I'm talking into unit. Actually, I'm going to go to projects. Into unit opportunities. So those summative assessments, and you've seen a few of them there in the templates. Everything I've kind of created goes into the templates, and other colleagues have created as well. One of the ones we were looking at, and I'm actually going to bring a decimal one up here first, is time trials. This is going to do with decimal points to the nearest hundredths, but you could also do this with fractions. You're just creating a scenario in which they meet the specific SOL standards. So in this case, students are going to be asked to arrange decimals to the nearest hundredths based on qualifying times in a stock car race. So a little real world connection. They basically talk about, to figure out who goes first, second, and third in the real race, they each go around on their own and figure out who has the fastest time in order to go first, who has the slowest time goes last. So right away they need to talk about, is a good number, good or bad? In weightlifting or basketball or anything else, you want the big numbers. Gymnastics, you want the best score. But when you're racing, you want the smallest score. If they say that the bigger is the better, then if they do it completely opposite at the end, they didn't understand, the whole race being faster, but they understood the concept because they arranged them in the way they thought they would, greatest to least. So they do that with a recording, which I love adding little recordings to just check, you're understanding your directions. Then they go ahead and complete these greater than, less than, equal. And again, these are decimal points. It could be fractions depending on how or what the scenario is. The three icons up top, greater than, less than, equal, are clones, so you get as many as you want. They would simply click and tag or drag them to the circles for each number comparison here. Again, the program does not, or not again, but for the first time, the program does not provide instant feedback. A lot of research suggests that kids don't even read when you just click and drag things and they stick or don't stick, or a little pause or sound effects go off. They're simply clicking and dragging as fast as they can to be done first. So in this case, you're going to have to eyeball it. You can see their work later, so this could be part of that assessment. And then the meat of the PBL is the page 3, where they're rearranging these names. Each one is a manipulative from ideally least to greatest, but if they said the bigger number was better, then maybe greatest to least. And a simple concept of them applying their knowledge in something that's not that just simple numbers on a ditto, or that, explain one thing with a sentence. So a multi-page scenario can be created using the tools that require the students to apply their knowledge in some type of PBL setting. I'm looking at my notes here just to be sure that I've covered them. The last thing I would like to bring up is modeling. If I'm doing something like this, I would use a blank page and possibly have a little bit of an example of what's going on with comparing the numbers. If it's a math station, think about the ability, if you're doing a center, about doing the skip count together, but then explain that they're going to do it on their own, or things like that, where you can model it using Wixie, using the virtual manipulatives, and going from there as part of the lesson. So in lieu of the overhead or in lieu of a PowerPoint, you can actually go ahead and manipulate this as you go. If you do decide, if you are a big recorder, I need to throw a little FYI in. If you are a big recorder with the tools that I am, I very much encourage the students to do a lot of recording with their explanation and their understanding and whatnot. There's going to be background noise in the recordings. I can only suggest that the kids have their mouth about a foot away from the microphone if it's built on the device, or their headphones on and they talk normally. There'll always be background noise. If you're a little type A like I am, I just realized at some point you just got to get over the background noise. There's going to be the noise, but if the kid talks clearly towards the microphone, they're going to be the dominant voice, and that's the information you're going to want to hear. I'm going to open up one more file and come back with my contact information. I got to go up to home. Reminding folks again, if you have any questions, if you need some clarification or guidance for resources, don't hesitate to contact me, as I am happy to help. And there it is again, sloomis@techforlearning.com, my phone number, and following me on Twitter. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.